Hello, everyone, and welcome to Trauma Recovery University. I'm your host, Adina Moberg, and this is my amazing co-host, Bobby Parrish.
Hi, everybody. We're happy that you're here.
Yeah. So I don't know if any of you guys had participated in our Monday morning slash evening chat titled CSAQT. But just to inform you whether or not you were there or not, this week's topic is body memories. I want to take a moment to mention, first of all, this is Trauma Recovery University. We, Bobby and myself, have an online community of now several thousand people that we love to interact with on a regular basis, whether it be on Twitter, Facebook, various other social media platforms, Roku TV, YouTube, and right here on Google Plus as well, on Google Hangouts on Air. So if this is your first time, I do want to sincerely and professionally welcome you to Trauma Recovery University. We do talk about all things trauma related. We mostly speak specifically to adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse. So if you are an adult survivor of childhood trauma, specifically sexual abuse or other forms of abuse, whether it be verbal, physical, mental, emotional, you'll probably find some value here in our broadcast today. And please feel free to interact with us during this online broadcast by using the hashtag on Twitter, No More Shame. Hashtag No More Shame. If you have some questions for us, I'll be following along on that hashtag. And I do want to sincerely welcome our podcast listeners on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and SoundCloud, or any other podcasting platform that you happen to have found us in. And again, a very sincere welcome to our Roku viewers, and thank you for rating our channel on Roku. Bobby and myself consider it a privilege to come to you every single week and talk about trauma recovery. It is our passion. It is near and dear to our hearts, and you guys, our online, what we call family, are the closest thing we have to family. So thank you for joining us today. We are talking about body memories and or triggers that we receive via personal touch from someone else, or the way someone touches us, and how we can cope with that, how we can feel better today. And we do have an online one-page downloadable resource for you that Bobby is going to be sharing with us in a little bit also. And we want to, just as a thank you for being one of our loyal subscribers or watchers or listeners or just awesome survivors, we want to give you complete access to our entire library of downloadable one-page resources for free, no catch. Just go to traumarecoveryuniversity.com or nomoreshameproject.com and click on the tab that says downloadables, and you'll be given access to our entire library of downloadable one-page resources. And again, we consider it a privilege to come to you every single week. Bobby, I'm so excited for this week and just to discuss chat this morning and invite everyone to attend Sex Abuse Chat tomorrow. And it was quite the loaded topic this morning during chat, wouldn't you say?
It was. It was. I think that some people weren't even familiar with what body memories were, and so there was a little bit of education going on in terms of what are they, what do we mean. A lot of people saying, oh, well, I've experienced this. Is that a body memory? And us saying, yeah, or no, that's really, and then a lot of people talking about their fear based on the way that people touch them, the way that people approach them, and it really hit home that concept that our body does store emotion and emotional response to the way that people touch our bodies, the way that people interact with our bodies. And it was very interesting to hear people talk about their experiences, and we just had an overflowing discussion of fear of the dentist.
Yes.
and how people working in our mouth in a way that we felt kind of restrained and constrained, how very triggering that is for a lot of people. I was kind of surprised at the breadth of the fear that was voiced about that this morning. And that, that's the power of people coming to chat, because we think, oh, I'm the only one who must deal with this. I'm the only one who must be afraid of this. But then we come to chat and someone throws out, well, you guys, I haven't been to the dentist in 30 years because my panic won't let me go. I'm terrified. And then other people pop up and they say, yeah, me too. Me too. Or, someone shared strategies with how she copes with going to the dentist, what she does beforehand, how she had to find a dentist that was familiar with trauma recovery. And so, for those of us who are afraid of dentists, it was, we got some tips and some ways to cope and some strategies. But that's the power of community, and that's the power of survivors coming together, is that you realize very quickly that your experience, as unique as it has felt, as out of place in the world as you have felt for many, many years, when you come together with other survivors, you realize that you're not alone.
Yeah, I thought it was really awesome this morning as well when we were discussing body memories. Um, so many new people that were
Yes.
attending our chat. I mean, our audience is just growing and growing and growing exponentially, and I'm not sure if that is just word of mouth on Twitter or if that's Roku TV, or I'm not sure what it is, but just seeing the survivor community coming and stepping up, stepping forward and supporting one another in such a way that is just so courageous and compassionate, and everybody's just so brave, and it's a privilege. I wanted to talk for a moment, Bobby, about I had mentioned when the chat first started that I had some triggers around any type of touch on my breasts, and that it really for some reason it's a trigger for me. And then almost immediately following that, we had someone talking about breastfeeding, how it was so horrifically triggering for her that she had to stop breastfeeding her baby. Had you, in your years of professional experience as a therapist and a counselor, have you come across that before?
I've worked with survivors who made the choice before their baby was even born, they weren't going to breastfeed. It wasn't going to happen. They didn't even try. But I have not yet worked with a survivor who tried, but it was just so traumatic that they couldn't continue. But I have worked with people who've just said, it's not even going to go there, not even going to try to go there. And that's okay. And I was so happy that this woman had a doctor who supported her and said, you know what, I think she said she lasted 6 weeks. And she said, you know what, you've done enough. It's okay. You can go ahead and switch to formula. Because we know, research shows there's just gobs and gobs and gobs of research that shows that bond between a mother and a child is critical for a child's development. And if the mom is stressed and she's anxious, and she doesn't feel comfortable in something as basic as feeding her child, that's really good. That's going to be detrimental to the parent-child bond, and that's important. We need to preserve that. So I was so happy that she had a doctor that gave her permission to say, you don't have to keep trying.
Yeah, I thought that was really significant. I mean, really, really significant that she had someone in that profession be sensitive to her needs that way, because so often it isn't like that. And I'm not sure if she was one of our people that's located in the UK or if she's here in the United States, but I was really happy to hear that. And one of the other things that I noticed was a very common theme today during chat was just the undercurrent of all of the different topics that people were talking about with body memory was fear. They're touched a certain way, whether it exhibits pain or any type of sensation, and there's fear attached to that. And I know that that's almost obvious, like it goes without saying that if you've had trauma and then you're touched a certain way and you're triggered, then it must be fear. But I think I paid special attention to just how many people had so many different fears attached to different body memories, and just even the topic of body memories kind of exhibited sort of an undercurrent of fear. Did you notice that, Bobby?
I did, and I think some of that, I think two things when I saw that. I think one of that is that there is not a lot of education out there for survivors about body memories. It is just now becoming more commonplace, and it is somewhat controversial. And I talk about this in the one page, but there are some people who believe that the memories are actually stored in the cells of our body. So if when you were abused, say if when you were abused, your abuser had a tendency to grab you by the wrist and yank you around and it would cause bruising on your arm, that those cells there in the skin and in the flesh of your arm would remember that trauma. So that perhaps if you're an adult and someone grabs you like that, maybe not even in an abusive manner, just you're playing or whatever, and they grab you like that, those cells remember, and they can automatically cause a bruise, or they can trigger the emotion. You'll get the adrenaline flowing, and that flight or fight mechanism will come forward. But yet biology does not support the capacity for a cell to hold memory. So there's a little bit of controversy in there, but I think the most accepted understanding of body memories is that our brain has the capacity, and we've talked before about things like dissociation and how our brain has the capacity to separate memories off away from our conscious mind that it thinks will do us harm, will do us great harm. And I think that the same thing can happen in terms of memories in our body. Our brain can separate, okay, over here I'm going to put the visual and the aural, A-U-R-A-L, meaning the sound, okay, the sound memory. So that's where what you see and what you're saying when someone else said gets stored here, and what you felt in your body and the emotions associated with it are now going to be stored over here. So a body memory is literally, again, someone grabs you there on your arm, and all of a sudden what's triggered is that the pain that you felt and the emotion that you felt. This memory over here of the sounds and the sights is not triggered. It stays stored away wherever it is that your brain decided to store it away. Instead, what you get is an automatic, and I think that again is why some of this is so frightening, is you're just going on in your daily life, somebody grabs you by the wrist, and all of a sudden you are incapacitated by fear, and there's no memory with it, so you don't know what in the world is going on. And talk about feeling isolated, alone, and crazy. I mean, here you are having this breakdown someplace, and you don't have a clue what's going on. And that's why body memories, I think, are sometimes so fearful.
Yeah. I can resonate with what it is that you were talking about just then. I was in my kitchen. I think I mentioned this to you previously, Bobby, and I mentioned it a little bit during chat this morning as well. I'm trying to remember when exactly this was. I want to say this was earlier in 2014, so probably right around like March or April of 2014. So a little bit less than a year ago. But I was in my kitchen, and I had done something to where I had twisted my neck, or like I had a pain going in like my right shoulder blade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was saying bye or hi. I was something, and my husband had given me a hug. Well, he touched a little spot. I mean, and it's normal. My husband and I hug all the time. not in the past month because I've been gone, but I mean, we normally hug all the time. So he touched the little spot on the back of my shoulder blade, and it wasn't just that the spot he touched was painful because I slept wrong. I threw myself away from him rapidly and I yelled really loud. I'm like, why would you do that to me? Why would you do that? What were you thinking? And and he was just like, like he was just frozen. He didn't know
Right.
he honestly didn't know what I was talking about. Like, and then I was just sort of like, I didn't understand what was happening really either. Like
Right.
in that moment, I honestly thought that he was hurting me on purpose. And I don't know, I mean, I do know that when I was younger and when I would get hit a lot, I know that I would often turn away and my back would probably catch the brunt of what was happening. Um, and I don't know if that's what it was or not, or it was just the level of pain that was shooting from my shoulder blade or the degree of pain or what it was. But I'm pretty sure, like when I described that in chat this morning, you know, that is definitely a body memory from trauma
Yes.
from something
Right.
that was like 30 or 40 years ago. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. And because you don't have the hearing and the visual memory that goes with it, um, you're caught off guard because all of a sudden you're just flooded with these incredible emotions and this incredible pain, but that's it. And it's like, whoa, what in the world's happening? And you demonstrate this, what other people see, this incredible overreaction to what was an innocent move on your husband's part. And
Yeah.
now both of you are sitting there going, what in the world just happened?
I know we were both like, I mean, I was like, I think I said like, why would you ever do something like that? I mean, I really was very adamant about like he had done something super duper wrong. And I even remember feeling like I wanted to hurt him back. And I mean, I've never even felt that way ever about my husband, ever, not once, ever. It's just not in my nature. And so I, it was really, 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 um, obviously it stands out because it's the only one I could really, really think of that I brought up today. So,
Yeah,
but that and the dentist were ones that I could definitely identify with.
yeah. I was in a car accident. Oh gosh, it's been at least 20 years ago now. And I hurt my neck, and I went to physical therapy. And this is the first time in my life I'd ever been to physical therapy. And so I didn't know what to expect, so I was already a little uncomfortable. And they had a masseuse come in and massage the part of my neck and my shoulder blade that was hurt. And she couldn't have done it for more than about 5 minutes. And I just was sobbing. I was so distressed. Um, and she was so upset because she couldn't figure out what she had done to upset me so much. And she went to go get the manager of the physical therapy place, and she came in, and I couldn't say, I didn't know anything about body memories. I couldn't say why I was so upset. I was just, but I mean, hysterical. And the physical therapy manager gave me a banana because she thought maybe my blood sugar was low, bless her heart. But it wasn't until years later when I knew about body memories that I figured out that that had something to do with my abuse. That the pain that was already there in that area and the way that she touched me triggered a memory from my abuse. And because my brain had separated the touch and the emotion from the voice, the sounds, and the sights, I wasn't able to put the two of them together. And I think that's why sometimes body memories are so hard for survivors. And we struggle to first understand them. And of course, when you don't understand them, when you don't know what's going on, it's very difficult to calm down and to resolve that huge rush of emotions that comes. So let's take a minute here and look at the one page that we have put together. And I will do my nifty-difty screen sharing, present to everyone. And now
yeah. There we go.
I go here. Yay! Oh, wait, what's that? Go away.
Oh, you're no longer presenting to everyone. Oh, I think you have to do that first. I think you have to do the little arrow thingy first and then present to everyone maybe.
But I can't because then oh, what happened?
I don't know. Oh, can you hit escape? And we're live.
Okay, can you see it again?
Kind of, but not really. Wait.
Oh, that's just weird. Can you see it now?
I can.
Okay, now let's see.
I wonder if it'll work. Yay!
This is only the second week I've done this part. So,
well, it looks awesome. It looks really good.
Okay, so this is the definition, and we have talked about this already, so I'm just going to go through it pretty quickly. Body memories are typically emotional and physical memories associated with a particular body part, but not associated with a visual or oral, A-U-R-A-L, memory. So oral means the listening, hearing part. And this, for example, when someone grabs us by a shoulder, we might feel a pain out of proportion with the strength of the touch, and then we're flooded with terror. Because our body remembers touch being associated with our abuse. But our brain doesn't give us the corresponding visual memory to give it context. So in that way, they're kind of a flashback, but they're not that flashback that usually comes with the visual memory. It's more of an emotion and a feeling. And for some people, a body memory can cause constant tension and pain. This morning in chat, we had someone talked about, could this be the source of my constant low back pain, or my constant abdominal pain? And it's a possibility because our body does store tension from the trauma in different parts of our body. And so that is definitely something that could play a part in it. But we also want to remember that abuse and trauma affect our immune system, which causes increased inflammation later on in life. So one way or the other, it probably does have something to do with their trauma.
Yeah. It was interesting listening to everybody discuss this portion this morning. It was a very interactive chat this morning. It was awesome.
It was, and we had a lot of new people.
It was great.
It was cool. And then talk a little bit about the controversy. We already talked about this. And in fact, as I was doing my research, there were some places that actually called body memories pseudoscience, meaning a fake science, because they didn't believe that there was actually any reality to it, because some people insist that these memories are stored at the cellular level. But we don't have any understanding as scientists that cells actually have a memory.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. I mean, I've heard it, but I've never bought into it. I've never subscribed to the opinion that cells have a memory. I do, however, subscribe to the opinion that the brain has the capacity to separate memories and put them in certain places, bring them up later, block them completely, allow them to come back at a time that's safe. I mean, I do believe that, but I don't know that I subscribe to the what we were talking about with the controversy, like, my cells remember the bruise, and so there is the bruise, like, if they feel something similar. Like, I don't know if I believe that or not.
Yeah, and I have had clients talk to me about having experiences like that. Um, and I've never had them myself, so I can't discount other people's experiences, but I do know that the brain is so powerful. Um, it protects us in the ways that it thinks does best, that make most sense. Um, so to help you cope with body memory, the first thing is that you just need to be educated about what body memories are, so that when you have one, you know what it is. For example, Athena, if you had known when that happened that was a body memory, it would have been easier for you to cope and to explain to poor Jim what was happening.
Yeah, and now I think I'm becoming a lot more aware. I mean, the further along we get in our recovery, you guys, the more adept we are at identifying a trigger, and that's what a body memory is. It's a trigger, and reminding ourselves that it is a trigger. And then I know we're going here on the one page and we're going to be talking about the different grounding techniques, but I was fascinated, and as I'm always fascinated whenever I'm reminded of the grounding techniques and how people have grounding kits that they carry with them in their purse. I mean, Bobby, why don't you talk a little bit about that? That is just, to me, that is like the home run. If you take nothing else away from today's broadcast, to me, that was the big daddy thing that I think hit home a lot today during chat.
Yes, that was so awesome. I can't remember who it was that talked about it, but she talked about how she carries a grounding kit in her purse. And Susan, I know Shiny Blue Dress, talked about how grounding techniques involve, you want something that involves as many of the 5 senses as you can. Because the idea is to get you out of your head and into your body. And she talked about, the person talked about, they had a kit of cinnamon gum. I believe it was a strong peppermint mint. A hair tie, those hair elastics that they would put on their wrist, that would make them more cognizant of their body and out of their mind. I'm trying to remember what else was in the kit that they had. But things that I can think of that I don't know what else she put in there. But another thing I can think of is they had a hand lotion, a scented hand lotion.
I think Little L was saying she had iPod earbuds, lavender hand lotion, a hair tie for her wrist, and the mints, and then something else.
Yes. And I loved the idea. I've never in my life thought about the idea of the mints. And Susan, Shiny Blue Dress, brought up the fact that she used the menthol mints because then it engaged both her sense of smell and her sense of taste.
Yeah, definitely.
And I thought that was just awesome. I see myself carrying around this little tin, like an Altoids tin, full of a collection of little items. But and they're right. Using your 5 senses, engaging your 5 senses, is literally one of the most powerful grounding techniques you can use. And I think I've shared before this necklace that I wear that has kind of abrupt edges to it. And I will run my fingers along the edges, and they're not sharp, but they are enough to really capture my attention. I can really feel them against my fingers, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, it does. I think, and you and I have talked about this before on previous broadcasts and even off the air, if I am having any type of a PTSD episode or any type of a very triggering memory, or I'm disassociating, or I know something is going on with my body, I will walk outside onto my patio, my lanai, and we have a railing that is made of stucco, and
Okay.
the breeze is usually blowing out there. And so I'll feel the breeze on my face and I'll run my hands along the railing.
Yeah.
So
And
I
the
can,
roughness of it.
yeah, the corners of the edge of the railing, and then the breeze and the smell of the breeze, and like my hair will be moving, and and then it's usually warmer out there, and I mean it's just everything changes, like the temperature, the feel, everything. And
Yeah.
it usually helps me so much just to change the environment that I'm in for just a moment.
Yes. And I think going outside, getting engaged in nature is another very powerful technique. Um,
Yeah, on our one page here down below, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about body memories. This is Trauma Recovery University. I'm Athena Moberg. This is Bobby Parrish. And we're here on our one page downloadable resource, which you can get. It's just our gift to you for being a loyal listener or viewer or subscriber or just awesome survivor. And you can go to traumarecoveryuniversity.com or nomoreshameproject.com and click on the tab that says downloadables. And if you once you get access to the entire library of downloadable resources, go down towards the bottom there, like I think 30, like 20 something or 30 down, and it says trauma survivors and body memories. And that's the one page we're on right now. And we were talking about grounding techniques, and this next one about alerting others, such as healthcare professionals, about any known body memories and their triggers. I was astonished during chat today, Bobby, that someone was saying that they went to the doctor recently and shared with the doctor that they had had some trauma, and that there are some triggers that they have when they go to the doctor, that their trauma is triggered, and the doctor was clueless and didn't know what they were talking about, had never heard of that before. I was
yeah.
astonished at that they were not trauma informed.
Yeah. Uh, it's sad, but to be honest, it's not incredibly surprising. We have so much work to do in terms of educating our physicians and our helping professionals on trauma-informed care. But then we had someone else talk about, I think it was little Elle was talking about how her dentist knew about her childhood sexual abuse and worked with her to support the methods that she used to tolerate her dental procedures.
Yeah, that was neat. That was when we talked about how she had her eye buds in, and then she had a little mask, like a little leopard or zebra print mask or
A
something
leopard print eye mask. Yeah.
Yeah, which, I mean, so awesome. I mean, you guys, the more we educate our helping professionals and the people that are going to be around us about our trauma, as uncomfortable as it may feel at first, the happier everyone's going to be. My husband now understands. He literally said these words to our one of our neighbors who happens to be a marriage and family therapist, she and her husband. He said, if you guys had been talking with me a couple of years ago about this, I would have honestly thought it was a bunch of mumbo jumbo. But knowing what I know now about my wife and all that she has been through, and this journey that she's on to, of going through recovery and just victory over all of these fears and memories and triggers, you know what? I'm grateful that I know. I'm grateful that she's open with me and she's telling me about this, and you guys know about this, and he gets excited about it now. He's like, I go, honey, I felt really, really triggered about this, but you know what? Like, this is the way I handled it, and I know that you understand it better now. And he's like, that is great. He gets so excited. He just like talks with me more about it now. He doesn't think it's this weird, awkward, made up sort of mumbo jumbo thing like he used to think. Like, he knows it's real,
Yes.
So I just feel like educating our loved ones and letting them know in a way that is appropriate and loving and patient, and not to give you another thing on your list, but as informative as we can possibly be to our loved ones that we know are our safe people.
Right.
Gosh, it helps so much, you guys. It helps so much.
Yes, and to be upfront with your providers, but if they're not receptive and you feel like they're judging you, don't feel a need to continue to try and hammer home the point. That might be a time to look for someone different if you can.
Yeah, a different helping professional.
Yeah, we realize you may not always have that choice. But if you do have a choice, that'd be a time to find, a different dentist or a different physical therapist or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because you deserve to be treated well and to have the memories and the triggers that you cope with respected.
Yeah.
And we know you didn't get a whole lot of respect when you were a child. But you can get it now and you deserve it now.
Yeah, most definitely.
So we've talked about educating yourself. We've talked about practicing grounding techniques when you get triggered. We've talked about alerting people about your known body memories and their triggers. And then practicing relaxation techniques to help relax tense muscles. And this morning in chat we talked about deep breathing. And I know I've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it again because I think it's so important. When we are triggered, when our body gets the sense that we are in danger, which is what happens when we get triggered. Even though we're not actually in danger, our brain thinks we're right back in that abuse situation and we're in danger. And one of the things it does is it starts to pour these chemicals out. This adrenaline and these steroids. And it also helps us, we start breathing more shallow. And the reason that we breathe more shallowly is to preserve the oxygen that's in our blood. Because you need that if you have to run fast and escape. And so if we can start to deep breathe in those moments, and what you're doing is you're actually shutting off, short-circuiting that fight or flight response. And it causes our brain to stop producing those chemicals, and we can start to calm down. So it's very, very important. I know you hear it all the time. When someone's upset about someone, someone goes, breathe, and it's kind of annoying, but it's true. We do need, when we start to feel panic, to start to do that deep breathing. And that deep breathing from your diaphragm. Not deep breathing from your chest. And not only deep, but slow. You don't want to hyperventilate. Hyperventilating is bad.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Hello.
So start the deep breathing, and then I know that it's always been helpful for me. I don't know why, but I had a PE teacher when I was in elementary school who taught us relaxation strategy. Had us lay down on the floor, would teach us that progressive muscle relaxation. Tense your toes. Now relax your toes. Tense your feet muscles. Now relax your feet muscles. And would walk us through relaxing our body all the way up to the top of our head. And I use it all the time.
You do?
Because it helps to relax those muscles that start to tense when you start to panic. I mean, I don't start all the way up my toes anymore, but I know how to, relax certain muscles. And it's very helpful. Between the deep breathing and the relaxing the muscles, I've learned how to short circuit a lot of my panic.
Almost like guided meditation,
Yes, I think that's pretty much what he was doing. I'm surprised that he did it. Because in a Catholic school, guided meditation isn't really one of those things you would think could happen, but So it's helpful. I know it's hard for survivors because we don't like doing things having to do with our bodies. Um, I can't tell you how many conferences I've been to for survivors where in order to get us more in touch with our bodies, they want us to dance or do exercises or something. I'm just like, oh, not going there.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's such a almost a stigma or a fear attached to that, I feel, because we've been so self-conscious about our bodies for so long, because almost, well, we've talked about this in previous broadcasts, but like we almost feel from the time we were little, depending on what age we were when our abuse happened, that there's like a red blinking light that is basically telling everybody, like we automatically think when we're little that everybody knows.
Right.
Everybody must know. And so for them to tell you that you should go dance around or jump up and down and shake your arms and all that, you're just like, I don't know about this. Like, you know, like it's almost terrifying to even like try to, you know, then you end up, you know, having more fear attached to that, and then you don't want to go to those conferences anymore. But it's all, you know, these are just techniques that we want you to know, another tool in your toolbox to help you cope with body memories. And that's the whole point of these one-page resources, so that you have, you know, just another tool to add to your toolbox. You might have some awesome coping strategies. I know that coping strategies are something that we discussed at length, you know, especially today during chat. And our group is so compassionate with one another. They're so wonderful at, you know, being compassionate towards one another and supporting every single person in the group and like what they've been through. And time again, we'll say, wow, I'm so sorry that you went through that. You didn't deserve that. And the response is normally like, you know, thank you so much for your compassion. I've developed some really excellent coping strategies. You know? Yeah. And it's really important to have healthy coping strategies, you know? So often the coping strategies that survivors have, you know, are unhealthy coping strategies. You know, like you go to junk food or chocolate or alcohol or drugs or overeating, undereating, exercise, over-exercising, you know, or, you know, it leads, you know, to depression and you can't get out of bed and your entire body hurts, and it's just so much. One thing leads to another, leads to another.
Yep. You know, and we see more cutting and self-destructive behaviors, you know, suicidal thoughts and actions. All of those are coping techniques that we would much rather see you develop a set of coping techniques that is both effective and healthy. And one of the things, and I would really encourage you, if you're here watching us live, it is...
We have some people watching live. We have Linnea or Lene Butler. We have Jack, and we wanted to just say hi, you guys. And Lene actually has given us some websites that are talking about the last point on our one-page downloadable resources, which is somatic therapy. Bobby, why don't you go in and just go in some detail. Traumahealing.org and sensormotorpsychotherapy.org are the two resources that Lene has given us. But Bobby, I would love for you to share with everyone, like explain to us what exactly is somatic therapy for treatment of body
Well, you know, this is really interesting because I was just going to say, if you're listening to this live, go over to Sex Abuse Chat tomorrow night at 6 p.m. PST, because Lene is going to be facilitating that chat, and she has a wealth of information about somatic therapy. And so she's going to be over there. She's going to be leading that chat, talking to us about what somatic therapy is. And somatic therapy, now, in my understanding, and I'm really going to defer to Lene tomorrow night, is the process of addressing the body memories and helping to dissociate the pain and the emotional response from that part of your body, helping to heal it, so that when someone touches you that way, you no longer have the pain and the emotional response. And there are multiple techniques that they use to get survivors to that point. They, kind of do a gradual exposure kind of therapy. So they'll have you, focus on that body part, the feelings in that body part, experience some of the distress until you're you're less sensitized to it. And they can also do some more visualization steps and techniques that will help you to get in contact with what memory is actually stored in the touch of that body part. So if you're experiencing body memories that are very distressing or they're very disabling, for instance, we talked a little bit about, constant back pain, constant abdominal pain, so that your life is deeply affected. Somatic therapy is really something that you should consider. And it's becoming more and more mainstream. I think for a while it was considered to be a little out there, kind of an alternative therapy method.
A little woo-woo.
Yeah. But it is now, there's enough research and science behind it and enough evidence that it works that it's becoming very respected.
I know that this isn't on our one-page resource, Bobby, but it's helped me really help cope with some body memories. And we've talked about this in previous broadcasts as well as off the air, but prayer has helped me a lot. I mean, if you're a person of faith and you have a prayer life and you are of the belief that supernaturally God can, that He is with us and He's for us and He's our ever-present help in time of need and He's our strength and our portion and our, He will, He can heal us and help us with everything. If you are of that belief, which I'm a woman of faith, and I know that in those situations that I've had with my husband, not that one situation, that one was the first time that had ever happened. But other times, my husband has actually, I'll say, honey, I think I'm having a really hard time with this. Would you pray for me? Or, I've even, prayed and sort of went into sort of an attitude of prayer or meditation. Bobby, has prayer helped you in anything that you've struggled with on body memories?
Sorry, excuse me there. That was bad timing.
Oh, I didn't mean to catch you right in the middle of you getting a drink of water. I'm so sorry.
No. I was coughing. I was coughing. I had this cough in the back of my throat, and I knew it was coming. It's interesting. I wrote a book back in 1999 about creating your personal sacred text, and I talked about prayer and meditation as actually sources of tapping into relaxation. Because I think when we pray, when we meditate on God, we can relax. And we can become more calm. We can become more peaceful. And anything that we do, when you're in tune with a higher power, when you're clearly focused on something, that is helpful. So I support any method that people use, whether for you it's meditation, whether it's prayer. I learned a couple of prayer techniques that are actually very, very close to meditation techniques. One called a centering prayer that was developed by monks back in the 1800s. They're all very powerful relaxation methods. So I would encourage you out in any way that works for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was very helpful for me at the time, and I guess I was just curious, like, if that had helped you previously, like, especially specifically with like body memories, because I know that I'm kind of funny about my knees. Like, I don't know, I don't like my knees to show for some reason. I think it has something to do with just like um, I can't put my finger on what it is, but when if I'm wearing something and my knees are showing, for some reason, I feel very, 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 very self-conscious to a point where it's like triggering. So I usually am wearing things that are longer that cover my knees, that are either like T-length or to my calves or to
Right.
my ankles.
Right. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
you will never, ever, 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 hardly ever catch me wearing something that is like a knee-length skirt or whatever. And I mean, I'm not like a prude. I live in Hawaii where everybody runs around in bathing suits. You know what I mean? Like, um, it's just, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just, I'm very, very, my knees are there's some sort of body memory attached to the whole showing of my knees that I am,
Yeah.
and I don't like people touching my knee. Like my dad always had this habit of when I would be driving, he'd reach across and he would tickle my knees while I was driving. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need you to stop doing that. I'm trying to drive. Hello. Like, we're going to crash the car. Quit touching me. you know? Um, yeah, just I don't know. I think exposing certain body parts can be a trigger for a body memory, and I think touching
Yeah.
can be a trigger for body memory.
Very much so. And we even had some people talk this morning about the sense of smell.
Oh yeah, oh that was a
You
big
know?
one, and yeah, and just certain scents
Mhm.
and certain sounds. We talked about certain sounds. We talked about that earlier as well, but well, this has been really, I can't believe that it's already been an hour. Our time always flies by so fast during chat, and especially when Bobby and I get to hang out on the air with you guys. So I know that a couple people were going to be a little bit late. I know Lene had a fire drill going on of some sort. Jack's definitely here. Um, oh, and today from chat, the Soar, Inspire, Love.
Yes?
Um, they are watching live, I believe, as well, and wanting to interact with us. And oh, Jack says that there's a little bit of an echo on. He can hear a little bit of an echo on your end, Bobby.
Uh-oh.
Thank you, Jack. It's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out all this stuff, you guys. We want to definitely let you know that we just consider it a privilege to come to you every single week, and you're the reason why we're here. We always tell you this every week, but we have a page that tells you how you can reach out to us personally, whether it's on social media or on email, and we really, really mean it. We really love to hear from you guys. When we get an email from one of you guys, or you send us a little contact form from one of our websites that sends us an email, it really makes our day. And I know many of you have left us voicemails on our websites, on our little speak pipe on one of our websites,
Yeah.
and we recorded voicemail responses and sent you all voicemails. So it's we're real people just like you, and we consider it a privilege to come into your phone, laptop, tablet, into your homes or wherever it is that you are. So Bobby is pulling it up right now on how you can reach us.
Yay!
Gorgeous.
Now there's no way for me to make this one bigger.
Oh, that's okay. I think it's because it's in your pictures. That's okay.
Right.
Well, wait.
Right.
Yeah, we can do it another time.
Okay. So if you want to reach out to us and contact us, you know what? Since I have an echo, Athena, why don't you do this one?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to. My bad. So reach out to us, you guys. Like we were saying, we love to hear from you. You can reach Bobby on Twitter at Truth Is Hers. And I know that I don't have it on here, you guys, but I really, really, really want to add it on here. Bobby is a contributor to the Good Men Project. She has contributor status. She's going to be posting more articles there. Congratulations, Bobby.
Thank you.
And she also has a column on Psych Central. So if you you can never get enough of the Bobby, like me, then you just need to go and find her on her other websites and the different online publications that she contributes to as well. And we're lucky to have her with CSAQT and Sex Abuse Chat. And so anyway, I'm going to continue to read this for our podcast listeners. You can find me, Athena Moberg, on Twitter at Athena Moberg. And you can reach Bobby and myself, and sometimes Rachel, at Trauma Recovery U on Twitter. Rachel is the founder of Abuse Chat, and we're going to show you all the different ways that you can connect with us on our different chats and Roku TV and YouTube and all that in a moment. But if you want to email Bobby, send her an email at bobbylparish@gmail.com, or you can send me an email, athena@athenamoberg.com. Or I forgot to put it on here, but you can reach our project, No More Shame Project, at gmail.com as well, which I should add to there. Bobby's website is bobbyparish.com. I'm athenamoberg.com, and this is traumarecoveryuniversity.com. If you would like to join one of our private secret Facebook groups, don't hesitate to send us a message. You can also find us on Facebook at Trauma Recovery University. That's facebook.com/Trauma Recovery University, or you can friend us, and we would love to be your friend, bobby.parish, or you can find me at Dawn Athena Moberg. That's DAWN Athena Moberg. I also have a business page, which is Athena Moberg fan page, and I know Bobby has a business page as well. And Bobby, is that the Trauma Recovery Coach?
No, it's Bobby Parish Coaching and Consulting.
Yay! Okay, so facebook.com, Bobby Parish Coaching and Consulting. So now we've been mentioning all along that we have all these different things, these different ways that you can connect with us on our weekly programming. So our weekly programming schedule is as follows. And so on Monday, mornings in the United States, Monday mornings at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. on the East Coast, you can go on Twitter and type in the hashtag CSAQT, which stands for Child Sexual Abuse Question Time. Again, that's 10 a.m. Pacific time on Mondays, or 6 p.m. GMT, that's Greenwich Mean Time in the UK, and that's on Mondays. Every single Tuesday, you can go to the original Sex Abuse Chat, and that is at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on Twitter. And that's with Rachel Thompson. You can find her, by the way, on Twitter at Rachel in the OC. And again, that's hashtag Sex Abuse Chat on Tuesdays in the United States at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And for UK followers and family of ours, that's on Wednesdays at 2 a.m. You guys are amazing. I know a whole bunch of you show up. So also, like we mentioned before, ask us to join one of our private secret Facebook groups for survivors of sexual abuse. We'd be happy to add you. Welcome to our new members of our groups that have just joined this past week. And if you're watching us on Roku TV, you can watch us on Roku TV 24/7. Our episodes are uploaded every week by our assistant Harriet, who is amazing. Harriet, we love you. And please, if you're watching us on Roku, would you please rate our channel? We have 4.5 stars out of 5 right now, and that's because you guys are amazing and you've been rating us. But we do want you to be honest, and we did have our very first unhappy commenter. We had how do I say that? Unhappy or not positive. Like we had our very, very, very first not
dissatisfied
positive
viewer.
Yes, we had our very first dissatisfied viewer. I do want to kindly mention this person, not by name, but it was brought to our attention that we come across as being extremely unprofessional and that we do not take the topic of sexual abuse seriously. And bless this person's heart, I'm certain that they were being honest in their critique or their review of our broadcast, but they don't know us. If they did take the time to watch and get to know us, they would know that you guys are our family. You're the closest thing we have to family. We value you. We love you. We treasure you. You're the reason we're here. And we would do anything at all differently if that's what you guys told us that you needed us to do, because we listen to everything that you tell us. So I realize that the longer we do this and the more our audience grows, the more we are going to have those dissatisfied commenters, people who are not fans of what we do. And let's just get real, you know, Bobby and I aren't for everyone. It's hard to believe. I know we're amazing, but we're not for everyone. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I honestly think the comment was that I was giggling too much and that it was very unprofessional. So if I giggle too much, you guys, I apologize in advance. I'm just a very giggly, happy sort of person, and it's just the way I am, and I just refuse to, you know, pretend to be very serious, and it's just not me. So, you know, anyway, Bobby loves me just as I am, and so do you. Yay! Thanks for loving me just as I am, you guys. And Bobby, I know that you said you have an echo, but I want you to talk and say bye to everyone and tell them anything that you'd want to tell them.
I just want to say good night. Next week we're going to talk about, I was wrong this morning in chat. I said we were going to talk about congruence, but we're actually going to talk about romantic relationships next week. So how do we as survivors maintain healthy romantic relationships given what we've gone through? So that's going to be a good one.
It's a really big one, Bobby, because I know that I am married and I was single for a very long time before I had processed a lot of my memories. And I was very happy and healthy and not triggered being single. And the moment I got married, this floodgate of these memories.
Yeah, and you know, that's not atypical.
It's so hard. It is so hard. And we are going to help you guys with that, because I know that we're not the only ones.
Yep.
I mean, if I'm going through it and Bobby's gone through it, and I know that some of you guys have told us the same, I know that this is a topic that I could honestly picture us doing an entire series of like more than 1 hour or something, like part 1 and part 2. I mean, it's just, this is a huge topic. I got this gal, I know that we're over time right now, but I wanted to tell you, Bobby, this gal in Florida, she's a pastor's wife, and she is leading a discussion on being married and being an adult survivor of childhood sexual trauma and how it affects your marriage. And it was, I mean, seriously, this is going to be a really loaded topic, and I can just definitely. I'm looking forward to it. Yes. So, Bobby, it's always so much fun to get to hang out with you online and hang out with our family and just reach out to you guys. So we look forward to your tweets and your emails and your contacts, and just, you know, reach out to us. We really appreciate you guys. And thank you so much for tuning in this week to Trauma Recovery University. Go ahead and go over to the website if you'd like at traumarecoveryuniversity.com and click on downloadables, and you can have access to all of our goodies. So we'll catch you next week.
Bye, everybody.